I loved the idea, the concept of infiltrating from the inside to take down a social hierarchy. That ticks a hell of a lot. That was a terrible click. Much better. Hello, g'day, and welcome to my full spoiler-free review of Red Rising by Pierce Brown, a book that was recommended to me by so many people that I lost count, and a lot of people that I respect on BookTube and BookTok. So I thought, hey, I better read it and give you a full review, and this is that. And before I even talk about this book, first of all, I loved it. Second of all, it has massive potential through the rest of the series that I've heard nothing but good things about. In fact, I've heard that the series gets better and better and that the first book is actually one of the weaker entries in the series, which is a very, very big raps considering I really liked the first book. And I even loved the narrator who had an awesome Irish accent because I listened to half of this book on audio and read the other half. And hot damn, even the audiobook narrator was excellent. So let's get into the review. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that I'm actually not typically a massive fan of dystopian sci-fi or dystopian fantasy. It's not that I don't enjoy them, it's just not a genre that I tend to gravitate towards. So it's already got a little bit of a task in front of it, but this one is set in outer space. So immediately, there are some brownie points. Red Rising is a book that is set in outer space. It is set in Mars, and people are divided based on hierarchy into their classes, which are also colors. So for example, our main character is Darrow, and he is a part of the red class, which just so happens to be the absolute bottom of the barrel. They're the miners, they're the hard workers, they're the slaves who are trying to build Mars into a sustainable living environment for mankind, while the rest of the classes, going all the way up to the top, which is the gold class, just get to sit back and enjoy that while the slaves do all the hard work. Now, I knew I was going to enjoy this story very early because Darrow, being a young, clever, capable go-getter, wanted to take a big risk that would really help and advance his people, get to where they needed to go and get some amazing benefits that they'd never had, while the rest of the Reds were fighting against him, saying, no, let's be conservative, this is familiar, let's not take the risks, let's do what we know and avoid the risk. And that interaction told me that Darrow was the sort of main character that I wanted to follow. I wanted to see him take those risks to advance his people to where they'd never gotten to before. And that was laid on the table very early, until one day something happened to Darrow and his family that totally rocked his world and changed the course of the rest of this story. This event becomes the catalyst for Darrow. It's the straw that broke the camel's back, and now he's had enough and he wants to make change. And he's approached by a group of people who want to help him infiltrate this social hierarchy from the inside and bring it down. What's not to enjoy about that? And the beautiful thing about Darrow is he's chosen for a reason, because he is strong enough, capable enough, and talented enough that he actually might be the first person to ever pull this off. And it's something that they've tried many times before and failed. So why would Darrow be different? You have to read it. Now, the first point I want to really touch on is the characterizations of this book, and they were executed brilliantly. There was a decent cast of characters, maybe 6 or 7 characters that we got quite a bit of, maybe even a little bit more. But what was so brilliant about Pierce Brown's writing style was I knew who every character was at all times. I knew their motivations. I knew what they were trying to achieve. I knew how they were going about it. I knew who was talking. I knew everyone very, very intimately, which is very difficult to do, especially in the first book of a series for a debut author. I loved Darrow. I loved Goblin, Severo. I loved Mustang. I loved Cassius. I loved Pax. There were so many fantastic characters that were easy to sink your teeth into. So the characterizations were really, really well done. As for world building, also brilliant. It was really visual. It was very easy to visualize. It was a really brutal, dark landscape, very unforgiving in outer space on Mars. So the world building was really good, especially in that first third where it felt very, very rich to the reader. But the second third is where the book takes quite a big turn and we start to fall into more of a Hunger Games vibe story. Now, don't worry, it doesn't copy the Hunger Games. It's not exactly the same. It's not even trying to be the same, but the vibe of it is quite similar. We're divided into different factions, different houses, all these really impressive, talented people who are being trained to be the cream of the crop and to lead the future of the world. Now we take those people, now I think from memory it was about 40, it could have been a lot more. I don't know why 40 is on my mind, but never mind, it doesn't matter. They're all divided into different houses and are competing against each other to rule the overall kingdom. And this is a really brutal competition where killing isn't encouraged, but it's definitely something that's accepted as if it becomes necessary and is a part of the process, then it's okay. And it definitely was a brutal competition that had Hunger Game vibes. And that's not a criticism. A lot of people are going to really, really jive with that. If you didn't love dystopian and you didn't love the Hunger Games, maybe you're not going to enjoy this portion of the book quite as much. But like I said, the characters in this book are so good that it will carry you through. And what I will say is it felt like that had a satisfying close. Like, I don't believe that it's going to continue to have that Hunger Games feel for the rest of the story. That portion of the story wraps up and we can move on from it. So I don't think it's going to stay that way for the future entries, but I haven't read them yet, so I can't say that for certain. Now, I won't say anything else about the story because I don't want to give it away. I think it's a lot more fun to learn it for the first time. The characters, brilliant. The world building, brilliant. Writing style, really good. A little bit oddly paced at times, and it definitely felt like the book took a really sharp turn when we went from learning about the world, learning about Darrow and his family, and then transitioning into the next part of the book was also brilliant. But quite a decent chunk of the book had a very different vibe to the first 1/3 or 1/2 of the book. I think that the book is heading in a great direction. I loved the idea, the concept of infiltrating from the inside to take down a social hierarchy. That ticks a hell of a lot. That was a terrible click. Much better. And there are enough great characters that I want to see more from, and there's enough about this story that I want to know where it is going. So I won't tell you anymore because the less you know, the better. If you enjoyed this review, let me know. Hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you want to hear more from me. I'm trying to grow this channel. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I'm really enjoying chatting to you guys. Let me know what you thought of the book. More importantly, let me know who are your favorite characters. Who is your favorite character? Because there were so many different fantastic ones. I don't even fully know who I think my favorite character is, but I'd love to hear who yours are. Guys, like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining. See ya!